Good morning. This is Mama Rose. Let's see. It is 11:15, so this is our breakfast. We eat kind of late in the day. So anyway, I'm making some hamburgers because we're gonna go ahead just have some plain burger right here. And you just form this however you do. One little hint that I would do, especially getting this meat, the grass-fed meat. I don't know why, but it ends up being real puffy in the middle and it's real rare in the middle, and I'd rather have it not rare in the middle. So I just put a little dent in the middle. And I had some left from the pound that I buy like this. Sometimes I get it from my local rancher, but I usually get it like this. They're in 1 pound. I get these from the butcher box, and they come once a month or however often you want it, and they deliver, and they have a really great deal on that ground beef, and you get 10 pounds for $49.95. Let's just say $50. You get, I think it's just $49, but you get 10 pounds, so it comes to $4.99 a pound. And when I buy it at Sprouts and it says grass-fed, I don't really like that ground beef. I don't know why. If it's conventionally grown, then of course you don't know how many cows it's coming from. And I'd rather get it more locally. And this is kind of good. I was talking to somebody the other day and mentioned this butcher box, and they said there was some kind of special on. And I guess the people that got this going won the shark, something to do with the shark. Anyway, where they have an idea and then they help you get it going, and this is one. So this is local ranchers in different parts of the country, and they are part of a co-op, and they provide, I'm sure there's certain standards, but they do provide the meat. So it's, if you can't find a local place to do this or you want to diversify, the reason I get from them, of course, is I love the ground beef. I love it. And I like the taste. I like everything about it, and it is 85/15, which is good. You don't want to get like 90% lean. You want to get the higher fat when you're dealing with carnivore, which is, I'm just kind of giving like helpful hints on carnivore to make it easy. And I'm trying to post, and this goes for if you're doing keto. Carnivore is a type of ketogenic, because you're in ketosis. You are, if you're fat adapted already, then you are a fat burner, not a glucose burner anymore. So you want to keep your carbohydrates under 20 to be in this state, at least for us, for Mark and I. We have, we're very insulin resistant. So if that's not the case, or you're doing this for health, again, this is the beginning of our carnivore cruise. We're going to learn together. I'm going to give you information as I get it. We're always studying and looking and all that. So I want to show you again, the idea of this, doing this, is what we're eating. And I've already cooked up the bacon right here. And I just go ahead and do a whole pound at a time, because we'll eat it. If we don't eat it all this morning, I'll put it in the refrigerator in a baggie or a plastic container or glass container, some kind of container. And then what's great about bacon is I've got the bacon grease that I've got there that I'm going to cook the hamburger in. But if I want to go ahead when maybe later today or tonight, when I cook our meat tonight, maybe I'll throw as a side, instead of broccoli or cauliflower, we'll have a couple slices of bacon, and I can throw that back in the grease, or heat it up in some way, or eat it cold, and it's like brand new again. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the meat that I've got here. All right, so here I finally found my plate. I had stuff thawing on it. So typically what I'll do is I'll gather the meat that I'm going to make for the day or two, and I'll put it on this really big platter here, and I'll put it in the refrigerator. That way everything's kind of thawing out, and if we're going to have the ribeye, then I'll take that out about an hour before we're going to eat it. What's nice about these, this is from Butcher Box as well. They're wonderful. There's no bone in them, which I have nothing against the bone, but there's no bone in them. And it's got just the right amount of fat, and it has all the nutritional information. This one's leaking a little. And then this is I wanted to show you the bacon that I get. I don't get this from Butcher Box because the way they send it, it's too thick for us. I don't know, it's a little too salty maybe. I don't really care for it like I do this. This is, and I don't really find much of a difference, so I get this. If this is the worst that I do in anything, I'm doing really good. But it's uncured, which is what I'm looking for. You know, it's dry rubbed, it's and it's sliced. You can kind of look at it and see I have probably 5 pounds of this or whatever. This is 12 ounces, so it's not a whole pound. But you can look and open it up. Sometimes they're they're thicker than other times they're super thin. So you can kind of look at each package. I like a variety, a little bit of a difference. Before I used to like it just one way, but now I don't mind it if it's not done all the way. If it's got a lot of fat in it, I don't mind any of that. So, but it's got that. It doesn't have any nitrates in it. They don't put sugar in it. I was looking at one that Trader Joe's has and look at Trader Joe's has, it's called Black Forest, and it's got a carbohydrate in it, or it says less than 1 per serving, but you add a bunch of servings up and you got more than 0 carbohydrate. And I looked in it, and sure enough, there's some kind of sugar in it. So this goes ahead and this tells you over here that it's that there are no antibiotics ever. You know, all vegetarian fed, so they're not getting fed a bunch of meat or scraps like that. So I'm just going to read the back here really quick. In fact, I'll show you like this. Hopefully you'll get that. I know I did that pretty quick, huh? But all it is, it says pork, sea salt. It says raw sugar, celery powder, and spices. But it has 0 carbohydrates and it has 0 sugars. So I'm not sure where that sugar is in here, but it doesn't really taste sweet. It's not real salty. It's really good, and this is what we get. So you do whatever or not, okay? But that's what we like with a lot of our food as a side. I also, from Butcher Box, this is one of the reasons I continue to get Butcher Box, is because I don't really have a good source for local pork or salmon or scallops or those kinds of things, and or a reasonable source for the ground beef. So I continue to get stuff from Butcher Box as well. So I'm just going to show you my little package here. So this is the pork, and it has 2 pork loins in it. You can see how thick they are. They are pretty thick. I would say they're almost an inch thick, and we decided last night to cook them the way they are, and I did post that, how Mark cooked them on the grill, and I went ahead. I didn't cut them open, but I showed the finished product, and they were delicious. So last night we had that, and we had a couple pieces of bacon. Like I said, I had bacon left over and went ahead and reheated them up, and we had the bacon. And so then this is the fish that I get, and this is from Butcher Box as well, and I love this fish. It is really good. It doesn't taste fishy. It's packaged individually like this, really nice, and it's got the skin on it, which to me is the best part. And I never ever would have thought that I would have done that. This is 0 carbs. This is, it says here that it's sustainably harvested in the pristine waters of Bristol Bay, Alaska. And this is, of course, it comes frozen, and it is net caught, but it is a product of the USA, so it is not, it is wild caught salmon, so it is not farmed or anything like that, but it's just, it's wonderful, wonderful fish. We like it. And I will do a video. I have one on my Rose Condren page where I show how I cook it, but I am going to do it again, and do this with the hollandaise sauce that I like to make with it. And so those are a couple of the things. And then again, there's the ground beef. So I'm just waiting. Mark went to the bank. And so let me rinse my hands. Oh my God, my granny glasses on. So I just wanted to kind of do this and show you how I'm going to cook the hamburger patties. And because I don't know how to pause anything and come back to it, I'm just going to go ahead and run over there and throw them in the pan. Now I am going to take the camera over here and we're going to come over and talk while we do the hamburger patties here. And there we are. Now when I do the bacon, I did the bacon in this pan, and it's a deep pan. So if you have something like that, it works really well because you can kind of mitigate your mess a little bit by, Mark went and got these. He's like, if I'm going to do this, and he cleans up the mess a lot of times that I make, that he would make his job a little easier, and it does work. It still gets around, but not quite as bad as it did before. So I have the bacon grease in here that I cooked the bacon in, and then I've got the hamburgers in. Now on the, well, those are cooking, we'll just talk. On the ketogenic, well, I got that light in back of me. I think I will move the camera over here. Over here. There, this is a better place, I think. All right. Now I got to turn everything around again because I am different-handed here. Let me go grab my salt. Now, on the strict carnivore, you're just going to have salt. You can have the bacon, you can have the hamburgers. Strict carnivore is probably just the beef, and you'd use beef tallow as an oil for that. Beef and salt, and that's it, and have some water with it. But again, we're not quite doing that strict carnivore. And but so in fact, they won't even have you put any granulated garlic on it, and it doesn't seem to bother me, so I keep going with the granulated garlic because like I put garlic on everything, although I have not put it on some things lately, and I don't mind it. Never thought I'd say that. This is going to come out pretty quick over here, and I'm going to go ahead and salt this. This is Redmond's real salt. Usually I use Celtic salt, but I am using the Redmond's real salt today. And it's a mineral salt, and it's really good for you. It has a lot of trace minerals in it. It has a lot of electrolytes in it. And then this is not the Trader Joe's one, although I do love the Trader Joe one, but I did find one I like just as well as far as taste goes, and let me show you that. These I got at Sam's Club, and they're pretty reasonable, and they're organic, so if you are going to use any spices, I just use the jar for this, but it's actually this that I keep refilling. Anyway, if I use it at all, like I said, I'm getting to the point where I'm not really using it. So I'm going to go ahead and let that just cook up. Like I said, we're waiting for Mark to get back. And if you want to, you can use cheese on it. So I might do that. Mark, he can eat more than I can, and so sometimes what I'll do is make an egg. So if you're a real hungry carnivore, make an egg. I might just do that for him because he can eat 2 burgers. I make an egg and then put the egg on top of that, and I can put some cheese on top of that. And I usually try to have cheese grated, although we don't eat a lot of dairy right now. We're pretty much just eating the meat, meat in the form of bacon, and we had the pork chops last night, and we'll have a lot of hamburgers. Oh, that is noisy. So we're going to go back over here. There we go. Here I am again. Okay, there we go. All right. So this is so far 13 minutes. I didn't really want to go that long, and I just really wanted to show you what we're going to eat. And the hamburgers should be done in just maybe 5 minutes, and then I can plate them. And I probably will do an egg with it. I've been doing some eggs. I can do a couple of quail eggs just for the fun of it, because I don't like to do just plain. I kind of like to jazz things up a little bit. So I am going to move this over just a little, and I'm going to show you my bones. Now, I did not post yesterday everything that we ate. I tried to, and I might have. And it isn't going to be 3 times a day because we don't eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So these are some bones that I got from, I think I got these from Leslie at the El Bell Ranch is where I got these. And they are going to go into my next bone broth. And I want to bring out my bone broth that I already made. So let me turn those hamburgers over. Oh, yeah, baby. Those are nice. Now, I did put a little bit of cheese on the top. Not a lot, just a little for some flavor. It's a nice English cheddar that I got. So this is the bone broth. Now, I did post when I made the bone broth, and I did put chicken feet in it and everything else. Mark processed it for me, got it right over here into this form, and you can kind of tell it's not real thick, but it is gelatinous. Now, I've had some where it's so thick, you go to shake it, and it just is like thick jello. But this is still good, and it's got the fat in it. And we tried it when we have it every morning. We'll have our tea. We'll have our yerba mate tea. That's just our breakfast drink. We used to drink a lot of coffee, and we kind of laid off the coffee, so we do drink that. We make it in a French press, which this is our French press right here. I used to have a glass one, which, let's see. Yeah, here's one. Here's a glass one. And you can get these at Ross. I think Ross has them, TGI or T to whatever it is, TG Max or whatever they're called. They, I can't remember. I always get their letters mixed up. They have them too, all kinds of them, and you can probably get one for $20. And I buy the loose tea, and that's what we have. Just because I'm always posting everything that we eat. So this is what I go to Earth Shift, and I've been getting, is this Earth Shift? Yeah, I get this at Earth Shift, or you can get it at Mountain Rose Herbs. But you can go here, sign up with this guy. There's a doctor on there that I like listening to. His name's Dr. Kassar. Anyway, Mark thinks he's a little bizarre. So that's kind of what he calls him. But I really like him. I learn a lot from him. But his company, you get the stuff right away, like in a day or two. And they have, if you spend so much, you don't have to buy shipping. On the other hand, you can go to Mountain Rose, and they do charge shipping. So they have the stevia like this. So what I do is I'll go in and I'll buy a lot of things from them. By the pound, I might buy 5 pounds of this, and I might buy, 6 or 7 pounds of the yerba mate. And I'm just going to shut that off and let it just sit in there while I talk. I'm going to go ahead and start plating that up. And let's see. Get that. All right, so far we got that. There we go. Here we go down here like that. You can look at that while I finish. Now this is for 2 of us. All right, so I only have the 1 white plate, so I'm going to do it this way for now. Now we could leave it at that, and that would be it. And I would probably be happy with that. But I am going to do, all right, I'm going to bring this over here, and I'm going to do a couple of, hopefully I got that right. Is it in the pan? All right, Mark is home just in time. So, I'm going to crack the eggs in here. Quail eggs. There we go. You can come through. These are hard to do. So you always want to do these, if you're doing quail eggs, or any eggs for that matter, do them over a bowl. I think that's good. So I'm just going to go ahead and put those in there. Now, if you're doing keto and you want to do this, you can do an avocado, but that light is not very good, is it? You can do an avocado. Try to do that. No light at all. And you don't really even have to salt these, but you can do an avocado or something else along with it. If you're doing vegetables. Really, we don't really want it cooked too much. Because we want all the yolk on that. Now, that is beautiful. Look at that. All right, we're going to come back over here. Oh boy. There we go. Let's go right here. That's a bit messy, isn't it? A bit messy. And normally you like all that stuff on there. And it, you know what? It's, because we're using all the bacon grease and everything, it's not as pretty, but look at that. So I'm breaking this open here for Mark. There we go. And we got so there we go. There's our breakfast. And you could have another hamburger if you wanted to, or have a bigger egg. Anyway, that is, let me see, today is the 13th. I think today's the 13th. It is Wednesday the 13th. Is it Wednesday the 13th, Mark? Yep. It is Wednesday the 13th. Okay, so this is what we had. We did have the bone broth earlier. We had our yerba mate tea. I had like 2 cups of that at least, maybe even 3. I think I might have had 3. Sometimes Mark will make a second pot of it. And then after that, I had we both had the bone broth, a big cup of bone broth. And then from there, we went ahead and thought, okay, now it's time to eat. So this is Mark's plate. I am going to eat the same thing, except I am not going to have the egg. It seems like the egg just bothers me, especially earlier in the day, so I'm not going to have it, but I'll be happy with that burger and maybe 4 pieces of bacon I can have. So so that's it. And then later, because we are running low on the bone broth, which again, I'm sorry, we forgot to videotape the processing of it, which is really just squishing all the good stuff out of the bones that we've cooked for 5 or 6 hours. I think I did 6 hours in the Instant Pot. Now, the beef bones are going to be a little bit different. These are beef. And I might have to go to the store and buy some celery because I do like the taste of celery in it. And I will put some garlic, whatever I have usually left in the refrigerator, but I'm not buying vegetables, so I don't really have anything in the refrigerator. I can go out in my garden and I still have some oregano in there, and I have some parsley, and I might grab some of those and throw those in the pot. But lots of salt, maybe a little bit of pepper, and some apple cider vinegar, and I'm going to cook those for 6 hours at least. And then, but you can't really squish those. If you're processing it and you're squishing, you've used a lot of vegetables like I used to. I used to always have carrots and all kinds of greens, and I'd save all my vegetables when I was cooking, all my scraps, and put them in the freezer, and then I'd throw them in the soup. And, if I made asparagus, I'd save the ends, and they'd go in there because I wasn't really going to eat them. I was just going to use them to get whatever nutritional value was in them imparted into the broth. But we're just pretty much doing bone broth. So I do not put a bunch of stuff in it anymore because I just don't buy it. But I love the taste of celery in it, so I don't know, I might go ahead and do that with bones. Sometimes I'll do the bones all by themselves for 4 hours, and then I'll take the bones out and I'll make sure that everything's good. There's no meat parts or anything in the broth. I'll strain that out, put that in one of my big giant mason jars, and then I will put the bones back into that the pot that I cooked it in the Instapot, and I'll cover it again with distilled water. I want empty water because I want my broth, all the room that my water can possibly have to contain as much of the goodness in those bones as there is. And if my water's full of other minerals and other things, then it can only take in so much. And I want it to be, it's hungry water. I want it to be greedy and take as much as it can get. So distilled water is what I start with. And then I will do the bones again. And if you want to, season it the second time, you can do that as well. I've done that, and then I can taste the difference. And then if I really like one over the other, sometimes I mix them, or I'll drink one way, and that's a different flavor. And then the next day, I might have a little bit of a variety. But either way, I will do beef bones twice. And I do them at least 4 hours the first time and then 4 hours the second time. And I do remove them and start with fresh water again because, again, that first batch of water is full. It's full of what it's going to take in. And so I'm going ahead and starting out with some fresh water. You're going to have a lot of bone broth. So if you do want to do it that way where you're doing it twice, I'd recommend using the small pot, the small Instant Pot, and that's a 3-quart Instapot. And that's kind of nice, especially for Mark and I, because it is just the two of us. And I can, maybe fit 3 bones in there instead of having to use the giant one and using all the bones. So you have fresher bones. And you could do them a third time. You'll be able to tell, especially that's why you want to put the apple cider vinegar in there to make sure you get a really good draw from the bones, and it helps break down the bones. And you want to get as much of the minerals and the cartilage and the collagen as you can from those bones into that liquid. Anyway, I'm going to go now, and thanks for watching. And again, this is our first actual solid meal of the day, although we have had the bone broth, and I will pick you up probably later this afternoon when I'm prepping for dinner, and we'll see what we're going to have. We have that plate to choose from. I'm not quite sure what we're going to have tonight, but we'll find out later. Have a great rest of the day, and thanks again for watching.